Two dicks, zero chicks, and three flicks. You're listening to Fart House Cinema. Two dicks, zero chicks, and three flicks. You're listening to Fart House Cinema.
Hello, fart fans, and welcome to episode 9, Serial Killers.
Fart fans, I feel like.
Fart fans, is that not, you don't like it? We're super serial in this episode.
What about fartisans?
Ooh, that's not bad.
Fartisans.
I like it. Hello, fartisans.
Fartisans.
So episode 9, we're doing serial killers. I don't need to do a lot of prim and proper format. We appreciate you tuning in. We'll pretty much get right into the meat of it.
Yeah, this episode is brought to you by nobody.
Yeah, not a single person helped do this.
One.
Except
for Matt Nongin.
Yeah.
And Mike Garrett. Again, I hope you guys like the new format of the website. And by new format, I mean that there is one now.
Yeah, the format of something as opposed to nothing.
Yeah.
You wanna?
We're trying. We're really trying to paint this turd gold, and we're really hoping that
there's a lot of lacquer on this turd.
Yeah.
So serial killer movies. We want to talk? We can talk briefly about the one we didn't pick.
Okay.
I don't not to derail it totally, but so initially we were gonna do a film called Carla, which is like I don't want to say a biopic, but it's a pseudo retelling of the events of like Carla Homolka and Paul Bernardo, which seemed kind of relevant to us at the time because we're in St. Catharines.
Yeah, we are which all of you know because the 7 of you that listen to this.
Yeah, no one's listening to us outside unless you're being tortured. Again, we talked about this. But
what up, Gitmo?
I mean, I'm not saying it won't happen because the comedic implications are good. They're there. They're valuable.
That movie is a fucking horrendous travesty.
I mean, it's.
But I like it. I've watched it multiple times on purpose.
I don't know that I could do it again. But suffice to say, we vetoed that one because it was just. It's weird, right? Like it's a film that doesn't really have any artistic merit. It's only trying to retell a story, and the acting is bad. But like I can't. For me, the problem with Carla was I can't discern if they're acting like idiots because the people were idiots, or if they're bad at portraying how fucked up these people are. I don't know.
Okay, so what it is number one, both of these fucking actors are terrible.
Well, I thought in that 70s show she was fine. As a pretty...
Because the acting in that is fucking... The standards are amazing.
I'm just saying, I'm sure that they're confident or competent. I can't even say that. It was garbage.
It's a fucking terrible movie, but... It's a serial killer movie, technically.
I mean, if you've got any mild interest into the bizarre thing that we're talking about, or if you're not familiar with it, it's funny to watch.
Is it on Netflix?
Yeah, that's where I watched it when I was in the
American
States.
Netflix?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's bad. It's fucking.
It's
terrible.
bad.
And they spelled Port Dalhousie wrong.
They did. I noticed that the first.
Awful. Anyways, but moving forward, the 3 movies we do have on the slab for you tonight, if you will. He was thinking about docket. We were thinking about docket. We're gonna go with. Psycho, American Psycho, and 7. Not necessarily in that order. I don't even know if we've decided the order.
Well, we'll figure the fuck out, really.
Do you want to go? I'm down to start with Psycho.
Yeah, we can start with Psycho.
All right, so we're talking Hitchcock. We're talking like one of the granddaddies of horror. We're talking about a classic
pioneer, really, for most
trendsetter. Groundbreaking. So here's the thing. Up until now, I had never seen Psycho.
It came out in 1960. Like, think about what was going on just years previously, and also like during this, like
it's a strange timeline for horror movies, right? I mean, this is a time where like cinema, like cutting edge gruesome stuff in cinema.
Horror movies up till this point were like Boris Karloff and The Mummy, like
stuff that hadn't pushed any real boundary pushing for its time.
None.
But so Hitchcock blowing everybody away as everyone is unsurprised. I mean, we're talking about Vertigo, we're talking about Birds, like we're talking about Hitchcock, and the guy is an undeniable like genius, and it shows in this film. Like I love the angles of this film. I love the way it's cut together. I'm not crazy about the soundtrack because it's a little bit like redundant and simplified, but maybe that's because of its time. I mean, again, it's got some fantastic pieces. Also, funnily enough, I didn't realize that until watching this film that there's an album that Busta Rhymes produced where a couple of his tracks actually sample music from Psycho. So kind of a neat little pseudo reference. I don't know. It doesn't matter. If you're not a Busta Rhymes fan, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But we don't need to summarize the film. If you haven't seen it, go see it. The same is true of all the films tonight. Obviously, spoiler warnings. Again, I feel like this is redundant stuff.
People die.
Used to. Yeah, people are going to die. There's serial killers, you know.
And you know what bums me out about this episode is nobody's ever going to know what, unless, well, they've seen the movie, so they do know what's in the box.
Well, again, I think everyone knows it's in the box. I mean, it's a pretty topical. Do you want to indulge us with?
I'm not going to do the impression yet.
No, not yet.
I'll
You're
get
gonna
there.
wait till 7.
I'll get there.
I mean, again, so let's break down Psycho.
Psycho, 1960, Alfred Hitchcock. If you've also the thing too now, it's made a resurgence in a weird way because of Bates Motel, which I've watched all of, and it took me a second to split the two again.
Yeah. You were looking at it as one consistent piece.
Kind of, yeah. Essentially, it's about a man and his mother that own a creepy fucking motel.
Yep.
And a traveling woman stays in this motel. It's a murder. There's not even really a serial killer movie, really.
Well, I mean, like, are you you're summarizing Psycho. Like, we don't even need to go down that road. Like, the long and short of it is this. It's an insane dude who runs a hotel, and shit kind of just lands in his lap, and his like sexually repressed urges manifest in his shattered psyche, and he has to kill women that he lusts after. And I mean, you don't even know he's a serial killer. Arguably, he's not, because you don't even find out about his victims until late, like by the end of the film.
That's true. It's like one of the last things that you find out, other than the infamous like knife stabbing.
Right on. And oh god.
Right.
So again,
one of the most famous musical moments in a movie.
Defining moments in film, right? And again, I mean, this is a big deal. We're talking about film so old, and the protagonist dies in the film. Like, the whole first half of this film is one big psych out. Like, not only do you spend the whole film like thinking like, holy crap, this girl's gonna steal this money, and that's where all the tension
crazy,
is.
right?
Like, this is a pioneering twist, and the twist comes at the halfway point of the film. And the best part for me during the whole sequence of events where, you know, Norman Bates' quote unquote mother kills her is during that shot, the way he frames it is so perfect, because the money is in the newspaper folded on the nightstand, and it's centralized in the shot. It's either off to the left, or it's in the front and middle, or it's off to the slight right, and that's all the audience cares about. That's what you're fascinated by. That's what you're interested in, is this money, and you're like, what's going to happen? Where's it going to go? Who's going to discover it? And it's so, like, Hitchcock knows that that's what you're into. Hitchcock knows that you're like, now that she's been murdered, which, by the way, totally made everyone shit a brick because no one saw it coming, you're so fixated on the money and what's going to happen and where it's going to progress, and he throws it in the trunk of the car, doesn't give a shit. That's Hitchcock taking the audience, taking the protagonist and the audience attention, putting it in the trunk of a car and pushing it into the swamp.
He did this, yeah, he did to the audience what he did to the money.
It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
And the only person to get to that point, as far as I'm concerned, there's been very few directors that have taken those kind of leaps. I would say Kubrick is up there.
Undoubtedly.
With a lot of things.
All the classic masters, right? All the classic big names that you've heard of, that regardless of whether you really like them or don't like them, they've done impressive stuff. Like Orwell, same way, right? There's, is it F for, you know what I mean, F for fake, that film?
Yeah.
Again,
okay.
I'm only bringing it up because, and again, this is a random kind of shout out or aside. If you guys haven't checked it out on YouTube, there's a dude that does every frame of painting. This guy's got breakdowns of films like you would not believe.
Drive, he did, right? That's
yeah,
the one you
that's
said.
the one that I showed you. Yeah, and he was doing like panel comparisons. Just a shout out to him. I'm a big fan of his work. But focusing again on Psycho, it's an undeniable. Like, I would say this film is a masterpiece. I love. I don't know. It's neat. It's fun to go back. It was fun for me to go back and watch this film. Not go back in the sense of seeing it again, but go back because it's such an old film.
Yeah, you'd never seen it,
film.
as far as I'm aware.
No, I had never seen Psycho, and I mean, so this is where I hit kind of a contention point or a frustrating point, and this is kind of hard about going back to classic cinema. So all the things about this film that made it so incredible and so mind blowing were, and again, spoilers, be aware, but like,
stop saying that. We assume that if you...
Well, yeah, exactly. All right, we're done with that. So it's a fair point. You can cut this out later and replace it with the word balls.
I'm going to do that.
All right.
I'm going to felching.
All the balls and felching. But again, so it's like
Roadhouse is terrible.
You spend the whole film with this constant concrete idea that Norman Bates' mother is alive and a crazy bitch. Like,
talk about a fucking plot twist. Like, he hid that so well.
And he just does such a committed job, right? It's the same.
Well, I figured out why. After watching it a second time, the first time I was like, holy shit, that's fucking shocking. And that's as far as my thought process on that went. The second time I watched it, I realized that, excuse me, the reason it was able to be hidden so well is because nothing like that had ever been done before. So it never crossed anybody's mind. Now, if I were to see a movie like that, I may think that. Because in the 24 years that I've been on this planet, and the 20 so years I've been watching movies, that's happened more than once.
You watched a lot of movies when you were 4 years old?
I did, yeah. Actually, the first movie I ever saw...
Explains a lot about you. I feel like you spent too much time in front of television.
I was raised by TV.
So was I.
Yeah.
When my mom would put on shows and then go and yell with my dad, and it would be great. It'd be wholesome family values drowned out by the three.
Here,
Stooges.
Mike, here's Jenny Jones for 6 hours.
Who's the father? Kind of works on a few levels. Moving, all right, Psycho.
Dark turn.
I mean, what's great is like knowing what's gonna happen kind of makes it fun and creepy and twisted on a whole new level.
You did know what's gonna happen,
exactly.
even though you've never seen it.
And I had seen everything with this movie individually of it. I had constantly heard about how messed up it was that it was his own mother. I had seen him in like the top 10 like frightening or like damning moments in cinema.
You've seen the knife silhouette.
Yeah, exactly, right? I mean, and it's a cliche, right? It's like if you watch Star Wars going in and you know that Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father. And this right? I know I should have put a spoiler warning on that one. But it's hard to you don't get it in the full effect.
No.
You know what I mean? But that being said, and in true testament to how good this film is, how incredibly important this is to cinematic history, and as an important note about like when you're making film, when you're trying to do things, don't be afraid to fuck with the audience. I'm not there because I want the same generic story.
I agree with you. That's 100% true. One of the other things I want to point out about Psycho, if for any reason you haven't seen it, and the reason you haven't watched it is because you feel like old movies are irrelevant now, this is one of the greatest examples of holding up that I can think of. This movie holds the fuck up. It's in black and white. Who gives a shit? It holds up. It's a good movie. Cinematically, it's amazing.
I don't have a lot of qualms with this film. I think there's so many subtleties and so many good things. I will say I think it suffers from something that a lot of movies now don't, but it's a problem that we have to deal with now and have to assess. So like movies these days, everything's got to be rapid pace. Everything's got to be cut. There's no time to dwell on anything. There's no impact. There's no sitting in a moment. Whereas this movie spends a lot of time sort of not really doing anything. And I don't hate it because it creates a sense of tension. It creates a sense of attachment. But so the whole first half of this film, I mean, again, the opening of this film is a romance between these two, and they demonstrate this desire to break away from the sort of like lives they're stuck in, but they have this compassion for each other, but it's obviously on the DL. They're working on keeping it a secret. He's got debts. It's the groundwork for why she steals this money, and I mean the money then becomes the point of tension, and she's making a run for it, and there's that sense of dread follows her all the way from when she leaves to when she winds up at the hotel or the motel in this case.
Yep.
And it's really kind of bizarre and great because that sense of tension is brought about by characters asking too many questions, characters like taking note of her strange and erratic behavior, the cop who follows her, and you have all these senses of dread, but these are all people that are being rational and calm. And then when she arrives at the motel, granted Bates is weird, but she does feel comfortable with him. She does feel safe. She does feel like she's got a place to kind of take shelter from the world, and then that's the place that kills her, right? That adds a whole creepy level element as well. I think the character that steals the show in this film, unquestionably, is Bates. Like his acting, his straight face delivery when he's on point versus his stuttering and his
creepy like that had never been played before.
Definitely.
So the idea that he took that up was, to me anyway, fucking amazing. I mean, had somebody now played something that straight faced and creepy, I'd be like, way to watch Dexter. Like you're just doing that. Mm-hmm. But that kind of creepy and awkward and like.
That's the thing. This movie, compared to modern horror movies, compared to modern stuff, it doesn't hold up in like fear factor. It doesn't hold up in shock factor,
no.
unless you've never seen it, in which case it might be able to pull some points. But again, there's so many, like it's such an iconic film that most people know the twists and turns.
Even if you haven't seen it, you know something of Psycho. You've walked into a comic store or something and seen the shower curtain with
or you've heard about like the old lady, the cross dressing, like you've heard reference to it.
Or you've had a Psycho X and your ringtone is the Psycho music.
Sure, or it's your mother calling, whatever, right? But getting back to this scene extension, this is what I'm talking about, right? Like there's so many scenes that don't really serve to add a whole lot to the film.
No.
But they add a different level of flavor. Like I'll liken this the scene when Norman is cleaning up after he's killed her, or after his mother has killed her, dare I say it. It's a really long scene. Like he goes in the bathroom with the mop. He mops up the blood. He picks up her belongings. He collects everything. He lays up the shower curtain, puts her in the shower curtain, folds up the shower curtain, puts it like we're talking like a 7 to 8 minute long.
That's like almost a 10-minute scene
with like no dialogue.
No.
And it's not that that's a bad thing necessarily, but you just don't really see that in modern
You
film.
couldn't get away with that now. You'd have people in the theater going, Jesus Christ. Like,
Well, it's just because there's so much that doesn't need to be done or said.
but that's almost admirable, though.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like it's a different problem. It's a problem that we don't have now, and it's almost something that films don't do enough now.
I would say that there is some movies that do that. There's a specific type of, like Drive did that.
You felt like what scenes? Like, again, I don't want to get into discussing Drive, but I mean there are some prolonged scenes. But I'm just saying.
Only God Forgives. I can think of a few
Only
movies.
God Forgives. I can definitely agree. But again, we're leaning more on the art side, which is again,
Place Me on the Pines did it too. Not to keep naming Gosling movies, but
the erection is poking through your shoulder.
no, there is movies that do that now. But even when they're doing it, they're not doing it the same way as that movie.
It's also an evolution of film.
I would say that actually the greatest example of this that I can think of is actually a TV example, and I'm going to say, and I know you've been talking about this a lot recently, The Wire is a really good example of using nothing, quote unquote, to create tension. The whole and Homeland. Homeland is a lot like that. Shows like that, they just stress you out, and then something happens, but you wait episodes for something to actually happen.
I love a good television show. But it's the same issue. Like if I watch The Wire, if I watch Breaking Bad, it's like I need somehow I'm convinced myself that I need a gun, and the cops are looking for me, and it's ridiculous. I'm a shut-in recluse type who plays video games. Like I don't, the cops don't know who I am, let alone give a shit, and I'm the last person who needs a gun. And yet these movies like movies and like in that whole
after
exciting it's the same with True Detective. Like it's like I don't have a case to solve.
True Detective is another example of that also.
For prolonged moments again, so you see it, but I mean you lean more towards modern action films, lean more towards modern AAA titles. You don't see it. Everything's gonna be rapid, fast paced.
Well, everything now is like the Avengers, Captain America, Iron Man, Batman. It's all things blowing up. That's why Michael Bay is so popular. Michael Bay should never be popular.
I don't know if he's as popular anymore since he raped Ninja Turtles, all 4 of them, and maybe even the female turtle, and probably Splinter as well, and our childhoods. Although I heard that it was decent for action. I haven't seen it.
The action's cool.
I couldn't bring myself to do it. But we're getting well off topic. Suffice to say, I love Psycho because, again, there's things you take away from the scene. Specifically talking about the cleaning up of the room scene, it's important because he is so thorough and yet he still misses something, and it comes back into play later on in the film. He is so thorough and yet he's so calm while putting a body away in a bag, and he's almost gentle with it. And again, it's a display of calmness but concern, right? I mean, if you look closely enough, I feel like you almost see a sense of shock on his face, which is an important key as well, because not only does it showcase that he's clearly insane, as by the end of the film you know that he's got split personalities, but it does leave the audience in suspicion or belief that there was a murderer that wasn't him. And it's such an important and subtle scene. And again, I cannot stress enough how much, like, watching that scene with the folded newspaper on the nightstand was so, like, my eyes were glued. I was fixated. I was hungry. I wanted to know what was going to happen to this money. And like we said, it winds up in the swamp. And again, watching him with the car sinking in the swamp, like, it's not a complicated shot. It's not hard, but the way the car sinks and then comes to a stopping point, and it's like your heart in your chest, because you're like, what's going to happen? Is the car going to sink? What is going on? What happened to the main character? And it's like she's in that car and she's not going anywhere. It's the same when you see her slumped over the tub, and the shot with just in her eye, like the drain with the blood going through it. There's so many clever shots in this film too. Like, especially one of my favorites, and again, I shouldn't even talk about it now, I should have waited at the end of this, but at the very, very end of the film, when Norman's sitting in the chair, or when Mother Bates is sitting in the chair, discussing with herself about how she wouldn't even hurt a fly, and the fly's in her hand, they superimpose the corpse's face on his shot when they zoom out really, really briefly, just to showcase that disparaging, like, mentality. It's just such a, and again, for the time, it was just so good, so haunting.
I admire that he was able to do all of this. We almost take advantage of the fact that we have color to do things with. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're not. You don't even. We can go into like color. You can go into audio.
He did he did it on like mono sound too
and stuff. Yeah, absolutely, right. And again, it shows. It does show. It's
but
undeniable.
There's been newer movies that don't hold up as well as that movie.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of movies that are guilty of picking music that's absolutely atrocious for it. Like again, Black Hawk Down has some terrible fucking music.
You fucking hate the
Dude, I just, like, I don't, like, I think if you're trying to set the tone for a somber and haunting movie about war, you don't pick fuck yeah America music. But, I mean, in this film...
Jock rock.
Like I said, my problem I have with this film is, again, in terms of audio, like, the music is good, and it's undeniably defining, right? Like, everyone, like, I'd never seen Psycho when I knew the Psycho music, right? Like, that's a thing. This is like such a... iconic film.
Yeah, what's the word? It's in the lexicon, I want to say, of films that you should like or should see.
It's a must-see film, if nothing else.
Absolutely.
And again, it's important. It's an important stepping stone in the evolution of cinema, and it's important. Like, again, arguably one of best. I would say one of the best Hitchcock films.
I would say it is the best Hitchcock. Oh no, Rear Window is my favorite.
And Ironside Soars by Vertigo. So.
Vertigo's amazing.
Yeah. Again, the guy was a master. No one doubts Hitchcock. I don't think. All in all, I mean, again, so we thought like.
Here's the other thing too, and this is gonna sound pretty weird, but I don't like the movie. Like, I would never be like, hey, I'm going to watch Psycho today. Never.
I mean, again, this is the only context I can foresee myself watching Psycho again is if I'm with someone who's never seen it, just so I can get the enjoyment of
and so you
watching
get your dick sucked, though.
Well, again, or I can, when I...
Although I feel like
dress up like my mother, she's okay with it, you know?
You know, when I first met you, like, when we first agreed to do the podcast, you're like, come to my house. That's kind of what I expected.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you lived, so I was also surprised, and I'm sad that I made that mistake.
Yeah, do a podcast by yourself.
I'm confident I get more hits than we do now.
I dare you.
Well, okay, this is getting personal. I mean, again, I kind of agree. Like, I reckon that's the problem I have. Is this is not a film that I had a lot of fun watching. I think it's a very, very cool piece in cinematographic. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Cinema history, and
I'm not gonna cut that out either.
No, that's fine. I was just stumbling through words today. I recognize its value. I recognize its importance. And again, I mean, we're talking about Hitchcock. We're talking about literally a grandmaster of of terror, suspense, and again, like fucking with the audience. To put it frankly, the protagonist dies,
and that never happened back then either. Like, it's also the first example in cinematic history of a toilet being flushed on screen.
I heard this apparently, yeah, and I mean, it's kind of weird. To know that that's a first. At the same time, it makes sense because why would you have done that? But again, it just
were the Australians pissed off?
It's a point. It's a point about how many firsts were done in this movie, right? And it's I think as a whole, it's an undeniably incredible film. It's undeniably important. But I share your sentiment. I mean, it's worse for me too because I had never seen it, and going in, I knew every turn. Like nothing threw me for a loop. Nothing surprised me, right? Even hearing her voice, which like the first time you hear them talk, it's like, okay, well then there's another character. That's not even a question, right? Seeing him carry her down the stairs. Granted, they're not talking, but like there's so many false flags. But if you know how the trick is done, it loses all its potency. And I just had the sad misfortune of knowing exactly what was going to happen.
Well, that's the whole problem with watching the movie 60 years almost. No, that's bad math. 55?
Either way, well after
55 years. Yeah.
Again, though, like it's such an important film, and it's so undeniably good. And again, like I really think it's a demonstration of how you don't need to have this crazy, over the top, like ridiculous cinematic experience. Like so much cool stuff can be done in such a simplistic way. Like I'm very impressed. But like I said, I think it does suffer from some stuff. I feel like there's a lot of kind of hanging around senselessly. I mean, I think upon closer examination, you'll find that every frame and every moment does have its meaning and have its point, and there's cool stuff implanted, even the subtext in the small ways in the film. But just in comparison to how film has evolved now, it can drag a little bit. And again, if you know what's going to happen, it's just like, why would you endeavor, right? Like it's literally like, if I know how you do the trick, I don't need to watch you do it again. But,
well, that's fair. I mean, do you have anything else you want to say about the movie? You want to give it an arbitrary rating?
No, I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable. I give it one like film icon. Out of that's it. Like I don't want to rate it because it's not fair. If I had seen this fresh, not knowing it, I would swear by this movie. Like,
absolutely. I almost wish that society didn't fucking spoil this movie for the people that haven't seen it.
I mean, again, it didn't. It's just a timeline thing, right? That's the problem with the classic old movies. I mean, there's other ones out there that you haven't seen, that you haven't heard of, and one day we'll find. But I mean, again, like if nothing else, Psycho needs to be an important part of any horror fans collection, any Hitchcock fans collection. And if you've never seen it, it's worth checking it out because it does so many things right for the time, and that's the biggest thing. Like
it does so many things right that movies should do now.
I mean, no question. And again, like Hitchcock played very well into like that world of like it's not this happened and then this happened and then this happened and this happened. He's very much this happens, so then this happens, so then this happens. He's very much a chain of events, and that's how the plot unfolds, right? Like she goes to the hotel. So they have a relationship. He's in debt. She goes to her office. This guy has money, so she takes the money. So she's on the run. She's on the run and acting erratically. Cops chasing her. Like she has to try and ditch her car because she's trying to avoid the cops. She just wants to get off the radar. She takes up this seedy motel. The seedy motel is this killer guy's place. She gets killed. Her disappearance and the money disappearance coincides with this detective being employed. The detective's working for the sister. They go for her love interest, which in turn then like everything follows in a coherent line of events. I feel like scenes drag in this film, and again, like the cop who follows her, totally non-essential character, totally, and no. Like, and you watch her panic in the car. Again, it's issues with timeline, right? Because it's like, why are you acting so suspiciously? Is the problem I have with that whole scene. But it's a different time. Like $40,000 is a lot of money.
I just read it on IMDb. It would have been worth $315,000 now.
So there you go, right? All in all, I love the film. I don't know that I'll ever really sit down and watch it again, unless, like I said, I'm with someone who's never heard of it.
I don't think I'll ever have a reason to watch it again. However, if it was on,
if it was a Hitchcock marathon, I could do too. I mean,
if it was on cable, I might fucking watch it for a few minutes.
I like, I like after Arbogast, the detective goes missing. I mean, I like the detective. I like his interrogation of Bates. I think that scene is amazing.
That's a great scene.
You watch, I mean, you just watch him turn him inside out, and he's so smart and so sharp about it. And the whole time I'm wondering, why wouldn't Bates just rip out that page from the book? But whatever. It's funny too, because it's like Bates he's not this criminal mastermind. What you see a lot lately is serial killers are like these criminal masterminds. Bates is just erratic and insane, and I like it. And again, they rationalize him, right? Like he's a psycho, but it's like a psychosis. He's not just a crazy dude. Like look at like Devil's Rejects in comparison to this, right? Like it's just not what we love now. What we celebrate now is horror films about like mass murdering psychos who break into your house and kill your dog.
Or Texas fucking Chainsaw.
Yeah.
Please remake that movie again. I would fucking love that.
Well, and then on a side note about that, the shot-for-shot remake of this film, just avoid.
With Vince Vaughn, of all people.
Just don't do it. Just don't fucking do it. What do you want to do next?
Do you want to find out what's in the box?
We could do 7. I'm very happy to talk about
Let's talk about 7.
That we're doing today, I think I've seen American Psycho the most, but 7 is by far my favorite of these 3 films. There's no question about it.
I fucking love this movie.
Take it. Run it.
Everything about this movie is fucking perfect.
I love the timeline. I love that it's 7 days. I love that it's 7 deadly sins. I love that they...
Everything is 7. Even all the numbers on all the apartments they show, 7.
Yep. Thematically, this movie is such a grimy, disgusting, dirty...
I love that they never name the city.
They don't have to, right? Like, it doesn't matter. It's not like it's just every city.
It's Metro.
Crime. I mean, it's a metaphor for human apathy and loathing. Like
I love that it's always raining.
It's always gross. The whole film is like that. What I love though is that they start kind of piecing together and associating things. Like, so this film follows. It's Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt. This movie's about them. I mean, you could make the argument that it's about Kevin Spacey, frankly, because I mean it is. But it's about the relationship between Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman. It's about these 2 cops at opposite ends of their careers, and Freeman is the grizzled vet who's just gone, he's just gone to his wit's end. Like, they talk about a dude who gets stabbed from a robbery, and the guy stabs out his eyes for no reason. And Freeman's like, you just I can't justify or try to understand these people. I'm just too burnt out. He doesn't even want the case when it first shows up.
No, and Brad Pitt's just like, I'm young, I'm hungry.
Give me everything, yeah. I'm not a rookie piece of shit. I mean, again, like before they're even introduced to each other, it's like Brad Pitt shows up and he feels like he's being given a hard time. There's so much like...
I love that Morgan Freeman tells him to be quiet within like the first 5 minutes of the movie.
And then he tells him to go out and hit the street and ask questions. I mean, again, their relationship starts out rocky, and what I love is it's not going to get any better until Brad Pitt's wife brings them together. And that's what makes her such a crucial character in their relationship, which makes it all the more heinous and fucked up when you find out what's in the box.
I love essentially that they live in a subway also.
I mean, and it's great too because it's a point of catharsis between an otherwise really uncomfortable situation amongst all of them. Like up until that moment, Brad Pitt is totally like confused as to why his partner is even at dinner with them, and then he's embarrassed and uncomfortable and frustrated at the ridiculousness of living in this god-awful city that, he knows his wife hates, but he's putting up with because he needs to be the big city cop. He needs to be the hero. And, Morgan Freeman doesn't give a shit. He's just at the end of a career. He's playing nice because his wife invited him, and then this rain shakes the whole house, and the absurdity of everything as a whole comes tumbling down, and then they become friends.
My favorite part of this entire movie, my favorite character by far is their chief, the gunnery sergeant from a full. He sitting.
I'll let you come over to my house and fuck my sister. Yeah, buddy.
No, the best part is when the phone rings. This ain't even my desk, and he fucking slams the phone down. And that is one of 2 instances of real humor in that entire movie. The other one being when they're driving in the car with Kevin Spacey and Brad Pitt just turns around and goes, "You ever just stop while you're masturbating in your own feces and realize, wow,
I really am insane." Yeah. There's so many things this film just gets right. The soundtrack is so on point.
Trent Reznor.
It's not, actually. The music was done by someone else, but he remixes several Trent Reznor tracks.
I was under the impression that it actually
No, right
was
in the opening
Trent
credits. I had it written down, but that piece of paper has hence disappeared. But look into it. I'm confident Reznor helped, though, because, again, they got licensing for his music, and there's a 9 Inch Nails song at the outro, and it's a remix of Closer at the intro, but it's not him. And you can tell, too, because it's 9 Inch Nails, but it doesn't really have that.
I have so much respect for the intricacy of this movie.
You want to talk about the book? Do you want to talk about the books and the writing and the prop?
It took 3 months. They're all handwritten.
They're all created. Yeah, they're all legit.
Created, handwritten. They sold for $13,000 on eBay.
So okay, again, if you don't know what we're talking about in this particular instance, all the books, all the writing, all the weird, creepy, fucked up shit that plays into the intro of the film, as well as the books they discover when they get in, the story about the guy. I mean, again, I don't know if this was actually written in one of the books where he's like, I tried to make nice conversation, I ended up throwing up on the guy, and then all I could do was laugh, which is also funny in my mindset, but a little bit fucked up, obviously. But all of these things were handcrafted by a person who by a team of people that wanted to help personify the abstract insanity.
Something cool that I thought too when I came across the fact that it took 3 months for a team of people to write them. In the movie, Fincher didn't want to lose continuity so bad to the point that in the movie, Somerset says to Brad Pitt's character, Mills, I think his name is in the movie.
Mills, yeah.
He says right to Mills, it's going to take us 3 months to read all this shit.
Yeah, and with a team of people, no less, and to get any context, and we're still no closer. He's like, there's no particular order, there's no particular... this whole film is drenched in a layer of grime and disgust, and what I love is it creates a really good juxtaposition between people being influenced by it versus people that are trying to fight against it. Morgan Freeman, he's clean cut, he's... Somerset, he's clean. You want to go by actor?
Yeah, it's easier to go by.
I always go by actor name, but so he's clean cut. His suits are pressed. His bed is made when he wakes up in the morning. He's the grizzled veteran who's all about reading the books and learning the stuff and taking things to as far as they can. And he's getting to this point in his career where he's justifying walking away from it, where he's realized that the apathy of general society is just too much, and he can't cope with it. And I want to remember this point and come back to it later because Brad Pitt ends up not only calling him out on how it's bullshit, but also is the reason for its erosion. But compared that to this rookie, who, I mean, not a rookie, but he's a rookie in terms of homicide in the city, right, in Metro, and his apartment is a wreck. It's a mess. There's boxes everywhere. His suit is always disheveled. He never looks like the Coles notes to the library pass. These two are on polar opposites, but it's their desire to catch this killer that brings them together,
Speaking of the library thing, this is one of the first time I ever saw this movie, I was fucking terrified after I found out that library lists are sent to the FBI. I googled that. That is real. That's confirmed.
I mean, the NSA has been listening to phone calls for the past.
I swear to God.
Maybe the audience is shocked, but newsflash, people listen to everything. I mean, it's more frustrating too that more crime isn't stopped, frankly, considering. But I guess someone's got to. Also, it would take a team of 25 people 3 months to read through all the pornography these two motherfuckers.
Oh, the fart house people are at it again.
Oh my God. Thank God, they're producing more shit for Guantanamo.
Why is it? There's no porn on his computer. It's just pictures of himself. He's not even naked.
reading.
It's just audio clips of him reading the dictionary. This is fucking weird.
Just reading words from front to back. That'd be more fucked up. That'd be way more unsettling.
That's what I'm gonna leave behind when I die. Is just like a verbatim reading of a Webster's dictionary.
Probably a bloated corpse too.
The dude that dies from gluttony is my fucking spirit animal because that is how I feel every day after work.
Man, and he's the like they intro like this movie's gross and fucked up from the get-go, but every time there's a murder scene or like a murder site, it's always really morbid and screwed up.
Which one's your favorite? I know you have one.
I mean, okay, so to put it like the most fucked up one by far is Lust.
She told me to fuck her.
I mean, so we're talking like, I mean, do you want we could break down the crime. So again, like I love it.
Okay, so yeah, I'll take this one.
Yeah, please.
There is 7 deadly sins in Catholicism in the Bible, but the Catholics are really the only ones that give a shit because they're fucked up.
What? Catholics are messed
Get
up?
condoms, you weird.
There goes our Catholic audience.
Yeah.
Abortions. Anyways, go on.
There's 7 of them, and this movie outlines a murder for each one. The first one being gluttony.
Let me forget. It's gluttony, greed, lust, sloth, wrath, envy, and I want to say pride?
Yep, pride.
Vanity.
No, it's pride. Technically it's pride, but it's the same thing. And the first one is sloth, and it's essentially you find out that the killer force feeds a already fat man because he found him disgusting.
First one's gluttony.
That's what I said.
You said sloth.
Oh, shit.
You fucking scumbag. You piece of shit.
Oh, fuck. I'm fired from the podcast.
You're done. I'm going solo.
If anybody asks, he's looking for a new co-host, so
Yeah.
you can send your resumes to fucking nowhere.
.com. Moving forward, okay, again, like you've seen the movie. We're not going to go into it. Suffice to say that they're all really fucked up, and they're all really like this is like Saw.
Lust is the most fucked up, though. Actually, no. Sloth is the most fucked up. Because Sloth, the dude in the sloth murder, number 1, isn't fucking dead.
He's been there for a year.
And
he's
2,
been given antibiotics to stop the infection of his bed sores. He's got his hand chopped off. Like
he's also been like implicated in a bunch of the murders too.
Yeah.
Like
because he cut off his hand and put his fingerprints all over the place. Plus, this guy was like a convicted it's heinous. And the best part is the SWAT cop standing over him going, "You got what you deserve." Only for him to that was a great impression. I mean, you guys didn't get to see that at home, but he has a tongue out and everything. It's pretty fucked up. I'm gonna probably.
You could think of that when you're masturbating.
Yeah, exactly. You got
no, but the gluttony one, I feel that. You've seen the way I eat.
2 burritos. That's all that is. Like again, fuck man.
2 steaks and a burger. That's all I'm saying.
Jesus Christ, it's amazing you don't look more like him, frankly.
I hide it well. It's the camera.
I mean every single one of them is done really really well, and they're all alluded to and demonstrated in unique and different ways, right? Like
absolutely.
The shot, like the lawyer is dead, and you find out about this defense attorney being dead from a newspaper clipping, and then they're just at the crime scene. They don't even address it. Like Brad Pitt's at this law office, and the best part is that like Somerset, aka Morgan Freeman, like he doesn't even know. He finds out later that Pitt's at this case, and I mean again like. This film is all about the juxtaposition between these 2 characters and how much they can't be friends. And it's Brad Pitt's wife who brings them together, thus marking her as an important character to both, solidified by the fact that she then later talks about how she has no friends and hates the city and she's pregnant, specifically to Somerset, who doesn't tell Brad Pitt because he wants her to be able to make that decision, which then of course comes up at the end of the film and is so fucking...
One of the greatest endings of any movie I've ever seen.
I mean, it's such a bleak and brutal...
Most depressing ending you've ever seen? I feel like it is.
I mean, it's just perfect. It's the perfect ending for it because the bad guy wins in this film. The bad guy wins. The bad guy gets shot to death and he wins. What other movie is that a thing? Where does that happen? Where does that happen anywhere? And the fact that he turns Brad Pitt's character into Wrath. He becomes Wrath. Like it's
and he knew that it was gonna happen. Like
because it had to. Because you can't. Like I thought about the idea of posing the question to you about whether or not you'd shoot him. Because for me, I would really struggle with it because my desire, like my hatred for him, would be so strong that my desire to avenge my dead wife would be like my hatred for him would be so strong that I'd want to spite his plan. Like I would hate him so much I'd have to let him live just so I could be like, you're wrong, you stupid asshole. Guess what? You're going to jail. You're not biblical, and no one cares.
You know what I would have done too. Like it's not even a fucking question.
But you know what? No, I mean here's the truth of it. Would you shoot him in the head? Because I'd
shoot him in the dick.
I would kneecap him and let him scream for a little while.
Shoot him in the dick and then both kneecaps.
Oh man, it's so fucked. And I mean again, and like what I love too is that actually here, let me pitch this to you.
And then Baltimore go fucking nuts.
Let me pitch this to you. I thought about this. I think the only way that the ending could have been better, Morgan Freeman shoots him.
Ooh, that's a good one.
He spares Brad Pitt's career. Pitt can keep chasing what he wants. Wrath it doesn't work out. His plan doesn't work. And you could have Kevin Spacey like wheezing from a sucking chest wound going, that's not what I wanted. And then you have the bad guy lose. Brad Pitt still loses. I thought that would be kind of a cool twist on it, a cool way to take it.
Do you think he got convicted of murder? Like, do you think, like, if the movie were to keep going 30 minutes, do you think he would have got convicted of murder?
So here's the problem. He's guilty of murder, and it's undeniable. The question is, like, have you ever dealt with this? Like, I mean, again, like, this, like, can you convict a person? Like, this dude kills your pregnant
I feel
wife
like
and cuts her head off.
He wouldn't have been convicted of murder. I feel like he would have lost his job, yes. But I feel like they would have let him fucking walk.
I don't feel like any cop would put the handcuffs on.
No.
But at the same time,
because even at the end of the movie, Freeman says to the cop,
give everything you need. Yeah, but
take care of him.
But that's the end of the day. We don't know what happens. It's left ambiguous, right? The focal point here though is that like when Brad Pitt's character shows up on the scene, Somerset is leaving. He's quitting. He's done. And all throughout the movie, he's quitting and he's done. But this serial killer and Brad Pitt's wife bring him back into the fold, bring him back into caring. He wants to catch this killer. He wants to be done, but he wants to get out of it. He doesn't want a serial killer that won't be stopped and he can't find as his last potential case. But fuck it ropes him in, it grips him, just like this movie does to you. But the pinnacle scene, go ahead, is at the bar when they're talking about apathy, when they're talking about the nature of people, and Brad Pitt's like, "Fuck you, you're not apathetic. You don't think apathy is okay. You're not this person that you're saying you are." And he's like, "I absolutely agree. I think apathy is perfect for hiding it. I think like not caring and drugs is a perfect solution to a city so fucked up." And Brad Pitt's like, "You're not leaving because you believe these things. You want to believe these things because you're leaving." And it's such a bomb. Like these two characters have bonded over their work and their proximity. Like it's just such an amazing and defining moment. And it's the reason that by the end of the film, like when he says "I'll be around," I don't think he's walking away from it. I don't think he can. He can't let it go. It's the same with the drill sergeant telling him, "You were born for this. This is what you do."
One of my favorite Morgan Freeman lines in the whole movie is when he said, I have what does he say? Like, I have the highest conviction rate of any detective in this precinct, and every other case I did was taken as far to completion as they possibly could have been. Yeah. And then he gets fucking slapped with this monstrosity. You just feel bad for him.
I mean, you do until his appetite flares up. You do until you realize that it's
well, I mean,
right?
I have an uncle who was a police officer for something like 35 years, and he actually worked on the Bernardo case. And I remember after the first time I watched this movie...
Great job. Anyways, go on.
He was telling me like it was hard for me to retire like after I've done all those things. Like anytime, my aunt will testify to this too. Anytime like a murder happens and he watches it on the news, like you can see his ears like flare up and he gets on the phone with his cop buddies. I can imagine.
It's tension, right? It's the same with like...
I get that way with cell phone problems.
Oh Jesus! If I never see their cell phone again, as long as I live, I'd be too happy. Fuck cell phones.
Except for the ones you want us to autograph. Or the ones you use to listen to our podcast.
Or the ones you want to send us nudes with.
I would do that. No dudes, though. For me.
Whatever, I don't care. You're a fan base. If you buy our fucking merch that we'll eventually have, you can send me as many dick pics as you want. I'll put them up on the webpage.
Done.
There you go. Couple of dicks, no chicks. That'll be the fucking...
That's going to be the first t-shirt.
Oh, Jesus. I love it. This film is genius. The soundtrack, the score is amazing. The tension is great. I mean, again, if you don't know, Kevin Spacey does an outstanding
greatest
job.
Character intro ever. The way he walks into and I'm talking not the first time you see him when you don't know it's him.
The photographer?
Nah. But when he walks into the police station, he's just like, detective.
Yeah, he's saying it quietly, and you hear.
And then it just the
detectives, and they all turn around, and he's covered in blood, and it's such an important scene too because it's like there's one point where they have an advantage on him, and it's when they find his apartment, and he shows up with a bag of groceries, opens fire, and then escapes. The turnaround is he almost kills.
Do you know that injury was real, by the way?
No.
When Brad Pitt, there's a scene where he jumps out of a window and falls onto the car. The first time if you look at it, he did that stunt himself, and the first time anyway. The first time he jumped out of that window, he landed on the car and his hand went through. And so he had to get surgery on his arm. So the wrap that he has on his arm for legitimate, yeah. Wow. They almost had to quit filming the movie.
I'm glad they didn't.
I'm really glad they didn't.
Even the scene in the alley with the rain chasing him through the streets.
And he just gets his ass kicked.
And you don't even see him. You don't see the killer. Even when he's the photographer, you barely see his face. It's a great exchange.
I didn't even... Also, you want to know a weird fact? You're supposed to assume that it might be the killer, but it's not Kevin Spacey.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
It sounds a lot like Kevin Spacey.
No. Okay, so on the commentary, I listened to it.
Yeah.
On the commentary, Fincher says, when you see him from across the hallway, not Kevin Spacey. And they do that to throw you off.
Hang on, you're talking about the scene with the door in the hallway.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm talking about, it's definitely Kevin Spacey, the photographer.
Yeah.
Okay, alright, sorry, that was the disconnect. I can believe it's not him in the trench coat, yeah. And that's such a great scene, too, because there's that momentary pause where they realize he's coming for the door, and they're at the door, and then he just starts blasting them. It's amazing. The discovery of his apartment, the going through his, there's just, every scene in this film, if it's got niceties to it, it's being corrupted. Every scene that's not nice is filthy and disgusting. The gluttony is a foul cesspit of rotten food.
Gross.
You've got,
and he holds up the stomach too.
You've got greed, which was Greed the lawyer? I want to say
Greed was the lawyer, yeah, because he got a convicted murderer off.
Yeah, exactly, for money, right? And I mean, again, he's cutting off. It's supposed to be a pound of flesh, and he's cutting his love handles off, which is super grim, super morose, and also
the vanity one is crazy too.
Pills in one hand and a phone in the other, and you've got to slice off you can live, but you'll be scarred for life. And he knows that she'll kill her. It's such a diabolical genius plan, and it's so beyond murder. He's not just murdering these people; he's torturing them. He's torturing them and preaching it's outlined, right? He's demonstrating these sins, and it's. I mean, I think the scenes in this film that really, really shine are the exchange.
None of them shine. It's also fucking dark. Can we just talk about the lust one? We started talking about. We never actually addressed what happens.
Well, again, because I wanted to talk about how all of them are subtle, right? The lawyer one, you just see the blood on the carpet. It takes forever to actually find out that he's cutting off the sides of himself. And even when they show the photos to the wife to find out what's different about the apartment, he's got Post-it notes on him. The autopsy and the gluttony is amazing, but with lust, they go to the leather shop and talk about this device, and they take the photo, and you don't get to see the photo. You don't see the photo until the interrogation. So it's just such a buildup, and then you see a fraction of the corpse, and the guy's screaming, yelling, "Get it off me!" There's all this tension. There's this uncomfortable, disgusting weirdness to it. And then you're in the interrogation room watching it side by side, the pimp versus the guy who had to fuck the prostitute to death, and they put that photo out there, and it's just the knife strap on, and it's just
the dude in the interrogation too. He was legitimately hyperventilating. That's in the commentary as well. He thought it was so disgusting, the idea that he had to do that.
Yeah.
That he couldn't.
Oh, he's the gun barrel's in my throat. It's great. I mean, it's his discomfort, his shock, his terror is so genuine that you just feel like Jesus, and it's great. I love the duality of the shot. Again, this film has got so many collisions between two different themes. You've got the pimp who's calm, talking about how life is fucked up, and no one does shit they like. I don't like my job, and it's the apathy they talk about. Then you have the other guy in the other room who's just screaming like he's the victim, like he's so fucked up, but it's you did it, you fucked her to death for your own life. You're not a good person either. It's not okay what you did. But I mean, I don't know. This movie's so dark. It's so heavy.
That movie, it will always be it's weird that I can just watch this movie whenever, but I'll never get sick of this movie.
Because I don't want to say it's a perfect film, but it's amazing. I love like the timeline of it. I love the pacing. I love like so many like the scene. It's crime scene, detectives talking. Crime scene, detectives talking. Crime scene, detectives talking.
And then it
chop,
accumulates
chop,
in a fucking spiral to end all spirals.
What I love about the climax of this film is the whole film leading up until now is hardcore urban areas, hardcore downtown centralized concrete, and then they go out into the middle of a wasteland.
Which, okay, this is what I love, because there's no city, there's no place in the world, ever, that you could have that. Ever.
Fair. I can't imagine.
But it's the whole city is so ambiguous.
Because it wants to be, right? It wants to be the ugliest part of every city. And that's
exactly.
what I love about it. And then you have this break. They're out in like just the power lines. There's nothing else. There's a trailer that you don't see anyone or anything move in or move from. And then the delivery van shows up. And you feel like you're there and you're like, what the fuck is going to happen? Like, what, he's in handcuffs. What can he possibly do? How can he possibly do anything? And then, Morgan Freeman opens this box and he's like, this guy, he's got the upper hand. John Doe has got the upper hand. And you're like, what the fuck? This is your cue if you want it now.
What's in the box?
That really? You built up a lot of hype.
I did.
That's all right. But I mean, again, like, it's just such an important and incredible climax to the film. And you're left like he knows now. He knows that his wife is dead. He knows that John Doe killed her. And then he finds out she's pregnant on top of everything else. And it's like, Brad Pitt's reaction is perfect because he, as a cop,
that's how every man would react, man. Like,
how could you not shoot him? How could you not shoot him? You can't. And again, that that Morgan Freeman knows this because he doesn't stand in between them. If he would stop and he would put himself in the middle, but you can't.
You wouldn't stand in front of me. I wouldn't stand in front of you. Like,
I might shoot him first in that situation because he's leaving. He's old. He's seen so much shit. Like I said, I really like that as a potential alternate ending because then you have this weird moment where Brad Pitt's like, what is it? But it doesn't help anything because he would still find out. He would still go crazy. Like, it has to happen that way, and it's so fucked up and it's so grim.
What if he just killed himself?
Freeman?
No.
What if, like Pitt?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like, he's a husk. You can see it. When he's in the back of the car at the end, he's not there anymore. How could you be? How could you be there?
No.
And you don't even know, like, for all he knows that she wanted to keep the kid. Like, it's so grim. It's so dark.
You want to talk about things you're not coming
back from?
Yeah.
I love this film. I think the soundtrack's amazing. I think the acting is incredible. I love the juxtaposition and yet the bromance, the buddy cop bromance between Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt. I love they're not friends at the start. I love that they become friends. I love the respect builds. I love that they both do things their own way. I love that Brad Pitt gets the Coles notes for the books, but it's so he can learn them because he's not this intellectual.
He's not the same kind of cop.
He learns and you see that like there's the respect and that Pitt learns this stuff and tries to learn it in his own way, in his own approach. And then Somerset appreciates that, and that's the building bridge of this complicated relationship, which centers around his wife, which is what makes her death so impacting to both of them. And when he's like, oh, you didn't know, like when Kevin Spacey's there taunting him about how he didn't know his wife was pregnant, it's such.
I could never have anticipated that ending.
The darkest, and what I love about how quickly everything falls apart at the end is that it's the before that. It's just this calm, somber drive out with them antagonizing each other. And I think it's a really, really great point that's alluded to earlier in the film when Brad Pitt freaks out at the camera guy and he like gets mad at him and he storms off and to the point where Somerset's making the point about don't let anger rule you, don't overlook things. That's when he misses the photographer, right? And that obviously plays on Pitt's mind later on, especially when they find the photos in his apartment. But it's such a crucial thing because when you're in the car and you're watching them talk to John Doe, Pitt doesn't get a rise out of John Doe. It's Somerset that does by pointing out his hypocrisies and his contradictions and asking him poignant, intelligent questions that deride his cause and his purpose. Especially when he points out you enjoy what you're doing. But then John Doe counters with no more than Brad Pitt's character would enjoy being alone with me in a room. And it's God, like this is a cinematic achievement. I love Seven. I could watch Seven.
I want to rob every Oscar winner in history and give all of them to David Fincher for this movie.
It's just so good.
I fucking love
It's unsettling. It's uncomfortable. It's creepy. It showcases an ugly underbelly. It juxtaposes so much, and yet there's still that hopefulness. There's still that, you know, like at the end where it's like the world is a beautiful place or something, but it's worth fighting for, like a terrible place and it's worth fighting for. And then you know, close of Somerset going, I at least agree with the second part. And that's your indicator that he's going to go back. And he's got to keep fighting the evil. Like it's True Detective. It's that vibe. It's that fighting against.
When I described True Detective to a friend of mine who'd never seen it, I just said picture Seven, but like 10 hours long.
And also set in the South and a little bit more.
I have a weird. To close out this segment, I have a weird.
We should, because we still got to talk about American.
I have a weird story about this movie. This is very weird to talk about, but I once had sex with this movie on in the background, and I finished, and then for days afterwards, I was very disturbed at how fucked up I was as a human being, to the point where like I called a friend of mine and spilled the entire thing. And was like, "Am I a fucking weirdo?"
I'm gonna say no.
And he responded with, "Dude, it's 2:30 in the morning.
Why are you calling?
If you ever call me like this again."
Also, we're not friends. How did you get this number?
Yeah, my dad was really angry. No, but I had like a real moral dilemma, and then I was like, "Fuck it."
If you had a moral dilemma, you might not have done it. I don't want to undermine it because it's obviously fucked up. I mean, it's especially
that is fucked up.
It's more fucked up if you guys were like doing a doggy so you could both.
That is real. That happened.
Okay.
I was at one point watching this movie. Like,
I'm gonna leave it alone. I want to make some jokes implying that you're not committed to the act at hand, but regardless, I mean, I don't know, man. You put on a movie to watch with your lady. Sometimes shit happens. You know what I mean? It's
putting on a movie is like code for like I'm gonna.
Pretty much, right? Like especially if you've seen it before. But this is one of those movies that like maybe you put on Drive next time, or put on what's our other favorite romantic Gosling flick that always
Crazy No, because that one is like a gateway to getting your dick sucked.
I can't. Let's just talk about American Psycho.
All right, we're talking about American Psycho.
7. I give 7 a 7 out of 7.
I'm rating this 10 out of 10, man. There's no fucking arbitrary rating. This is probably my second favorite movie of all time.
This is my favorite serial killer film, hands down. I think it's artistically beautifully done. I think it's menacing. It's horrible, horrible and horrifying.
It's my favorite number of things. It's my favorite David Fincher film, which is weird to say, but he has a bunch of amazing movies.
He just gets it. I mean, this is just such a succinct and coherent piece of film, of cinema.
Absolutely,
it's amazing. This is like This is to the time that it came out, maybe perhaps what Psycho was to what its timeline. But we're going to move into the realm of a little bit more strange, a little bit more fun and frenetic, a little bit more cocaine-induced.
Christian Bale's like big mainstream movie.
So American Psycho, man.
American Psycho. I want to say this about American Psycho. American Psycho is what you think is a serial killer movie, but it isn't. What it is they always say, like, every man wants to kill his boss or whatever. American Psycho is a movie, a commentary on 80s gluttony.
The 80s lifestyle, the glitz and glam, the money chasing, the shallow vapidness of everything about the Wall Street world.
And what it also is every man's fantasy about being able to do whatever the fuck he wants to do to somebody that wrongs him.
Not even necessarily wrongs him, just to champion.
You know, and the scene that really sums it up is when Patrick Bateman is in the bar, and she's like, "It's a cash bar only now," and she turns around.
You're a fucking ugly bitch. I want to stab you to death and play with your blood.
Yeah.
I
wouldn't say I ever have moments that extreme, but there's times when somebody wrongs me, and I'm just like, oh.
I wouldn't say I ever have moments like that because we're recording this.
Right, but why are you winking at me?
Anyways.
And put your pants back on.
You like Phil Collins?
Do you like Huey Lewis in the News?
I love this film.
The soundtrack for this is amazing.
This film to me
Although the moonwalk, though, when he does the moonwalk, ruined.
The shuffle?
Yeah.
Okay, so this film to me is almost slapstick comedy. If
it is. It's intended to be a comedy, and if you take it for anything other than that, you're a fucking retard. There goes our retard audience.
No, I don't want to go down this avenue. This is just that's a bad avenue. It's a bad idea. If you listen to us, obviously you're refined, intelligent, and graceful, and you're the envy of all your peers. That's what the fart house. That's what
Fartisans.
The fartisans know. I mean, it's rhymes with artisan. It's got to be good. Again, it's exactly what you said. It's a depiction of the useless emptiness of a person trying to be. I think the idea of success, and you see it in Patrick Bateman. You see this emptiness, this wanting, and I mean, it's in his self narration. He talks about how he's like, I have all the things, all the skin, all the things, all the traits of a human without any real content. I don't feel anything. I don't know who I am, and like the thin veneer of who I am is slipping away to what I can only assume is like homicidal bloodlust. And I think, without getting too psychobabbly about it,
American psychobabbly.
Nice, very nice.
This is why we get paid nothing.
He hates himself. And what he is the desire to be like everyone else, who is so much more empty and useless to him. Like that's like if a single person said to him like, I want to fucking stab this guy, it would be just too raw and too human. And he might connect with them, but everyone's so empty and the same, right? Everyone's cardboard copies, and it's why the theme of the film is constantly like nobody knows who the fuck anybody is. Like,
nobody knows who he is. Too.
He doesn't know who he is, right? And like his lawyer that he's talking to thinks he's someone else, like Haverstrom and Summers and just all
the point I want to bring up is at a certain point he's talking to his girlfriend, who's just the stupidest, most like shallow human being ever. But it's one of the best parts of the movie. Like it just illustrates how fucking nothing these
breakup. You get into the breakup.
Amazing. I'll get into that.
All right.
But what I'm about to say is, there's a part in the movie where she says to him, your dad pretty much owns the company, but if his name is Patrick Bateman, the company is called Pierce and Pierce.
Yeah.
So is Patrick Bateman even his real name? Because this happens after he kills another person and like pseudo like assumes his identity.
I mean, as far as anyone can tell, like, I mean, the problem is this is another Christian Bale film where you can't trust the narrator, so it doesn't even matter. I mean, I choose to believe that he's Patrick Bateman because he never gets cards made with anybody else's name on it. I choose to believe his name is Patrick Bateman. I think in the books it's Patrick Bateman as well. But again, you can't trust him, right? I think that's the big thing at the end of this film is that you find out that all these murders, all these kills, all these things that he's done might not have actually happened.
I personally know that there's like essays written on this. I've even written one. I did like a film course in college.
Wait a minute, you can write?
Okay. Well, I had a guy do it.
Right.
I yelled at a monkey on a typewriter.
All right.
And it
still more effective than you even with spell check. But go on.
Yeah, you've seen my quality.
Go on. Play with the essay.
There's speeches and like just commentaries on
did
it happen and didn't it happen. There's a lot of contrasting things, and I personally choose to believe that they didn't.
Here's my counter argument for that they did. That would make this a movie where Jared Leto doesn't die, and that's impossible. That's impossible. Jared Leto dies all the time.
Okay, yeah, well, he's essentially Sean Bean.
Yeah, well, no one says Sean Bean is Sean Bean, but go on. No, I was making a joke. Please continue.
I would love
to hear your rationale.
I don't think that it did. There's a lot of holes that could allude to the fact that it did, but that's part of it. Like, there's the part where the woman's running away and she finds all the bodies. Here's the thing, though. In the book specifically, there's a scene that's not in the movie, and I wish it was, where he comes back to the apartment, Jared Leto's apartment, and it's completely refurnished and like done and clean, and nothing happened.
That is in the film.
Is it?
Yeah. Are you dumb? Did you watch the same movie?
What happened to me?
Who are you? Do you have brain damage? What happens is after the blood crazy massacre, it's the scene where he drugs that girl
and drops the chainsaw.
Well, yeah, but prior to that, and he has the escort pretend, or the prostitute pretend that it's his cousin, and he's like, I think it'd be really hot for you guys to make out. It's like, what's up, Christy? You never made it with a girl, or Christy's the name of her. Regardless, at the end of that, they're all fooling around in bed. And then everything's going okay.
All of a sudden, you just kind of see blood come.
Well, yeah, and the prostitute's trying to sneak out because she already knows this guy's bad fucking news. And he starts like biting her, or she's screaming, and then she runs. And of course, you get the iconic sneakers, tighty whities, and chainsaw chase. So he kills her in the lobby, and then he gets dressed and just fucking flees. And that's what leads him to the crazy like shooting the guy behind the receptionist.
And that didn't happen.
Do we? I mean, the cop shootout. I definitely think it didn't happen
because the blowing of the
exactly. There's a lot of blowing in this film.
I don't think that any of it happened.
I mean, again, I think the truth of the matter is that it's open to interpretation because it feels like they show him doing it, but whether or not it happened, I don't know. I mean, it's ambiguous. It's intentionally ambiguous because at the end, you don't know. Like, and that's the whole point. You don't know if when he's talking to his lawyer, he's like, "Did you talk to him in London, or did you just talk to somebody who was posing as him? Did you talk to somebody who you thought was him? Because you don't know anybody. Because we're all just a bunch of suit-wearing idiots that are all the fucking same." Like, to me, that's when I look at this film, what I take away from it is it's less about whether or not he killed them and more about how like it's the sameness and the triviality of this world that he's stuck in and lost in, and that's why he's like my sins have gone unpunished. Well, why would you say you've gone unpunished unless you've actually killed anyone? So it's an interesting counterpoint. But again, I don't know.
There's a scene in the book that's not. I don't know why I said scene, but there's a part of the book that's not in the movie where he actually goes.
It could be a scene. There's scenes in a play.
He goes back to work after. There's actually like a whole part that happens after the ending of the movie, like where the movie ended, where it's just another Friday and they're at another club and like he's just back at work.
I love Murders and Executions is a great line. This movie has so many funny little quips.
The breakup is the best part of the movie.
Grim and dark. I don't know that it's the best part. I really like the nail gun. When he's like, I think if you stay here, you're going to wind up getting hurt. I can't really control myself. And the whole time it's like, is he talking about cheating on his girlfriend? Or is he talking about murdering her? It's ambiguous. There's a head in the fridge, but maybe there's not a head in the fridge. He's just crazy, right? Like, it's a wacky ride.
I have used I have to go return some videotapes.
Oh, I love it.
I have used that line so many times to get out of so many things, and not one person, not one time.
It's an arbitrary reference. I mean, not arbitrary, but it's just like that movie's been out long enough now.
Since 2000. Yeah.
And it's not like that's like he uses it several times through the film.
3 times he uses that movie.
Yeah, but I mean, I mean, if you used it, I would be there. I think I'd be there now. I don't know about. I feel like you probably used it once around me, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I don't think I ever have.
Okay, good, because I feel like I recognize it.
Yeah.
It's a great line.
It's fucking brilliant. And
it's a good homage.
I also like when they're in the limo and she's trying to talk to him about getting married, and he's like, "I'm trying to listen to the new Paul Allen tape."
His relationship with music throughout this film is amazing. Like the way he's just so like again like. If you really listen to the new album, the Huey Lewis and the News, you can really see it come out. You know, up until now, I'd always find the early stuff too poppy for me, but it really comes together. Hey, Paul! Ah! Like that is the defining moment in this film. Watching him do like it's hip to be square, like dancing in his raincoat over top of his suit. You can't see me doing the wiggle, but
I can, and it was awesome.
I love it. I love this film. It hits so many fun spots.
It's a comedy, man. I'm saying it.
It literally like it is. I mean, it's a comedy if you find murder funny, which in this context you should. I mean, it's and again, I
hypothetical murder.
It's almost like in a weird way, it's almost a story of like someone who kind of goes like it's like an Office Space if Office Space ended with instead of a heist like a shoot up. Like he fucking hates his life. He hates the people around him. He wants to be this, and like it's the best part. Like
I love all the focus on business cards too.
Well, I mean, again, throughout the book, since you read it, you know that he's such a material-oriented guy. Everything is the price tag, the brand name, the importance of what I have demonstrates the importance of who I am.
But doesn't he say, like, I'm just jealous that his apartment was more expensive?
Yeah, exactly. He's like, and I realize, because he's like overlooking a park or whatever, and he's like, I become insanely jealous that his apartment is more expensive than mine. The best is when he's got the two, he calls an escort to have a three-way with her, and again, this gives away one of the best lines of the film, which is, don't just look at it, or don't stare at it, eat it. Like, amazing.
I also love that the whole time he's fucking this broad, he's like making...
In the mirror, pumping it, like he's in fucking...
Which I do.
He's in incredible shape in this film, too.
You know that he followed, you know the routine at the beginning, like first, I washed my... Christian Bale, for the entire filming of this movie, did that.
That's fair. I mean, for The Machinist, he ate an apple and drank coffee every day, so he's a committed weirdo.
And then regained a ton of weight a month later for Batman.
Oh, he's an incredible human being.
He's the new Daniel Day-Lewis, and Daniel Day-Lewis isn't even dead yet.
Oh, that's a bold claim.
It's not wrong, though. I'm not saying they're the same caliber of actor, you plebe.
That's what that... It's okay, for starters... Jesus. Sure.
What I'm saying is level of, like, method and level of commitment. There's very...
Daniel Day-Lewis was in a wheelchair for like a month and a half for one of his films. Like, I mean, like, yes, sure, they're both committed method actors. I'm not even going to deny it. I'm just saying, Daniel Day-Lewis is on some next level shit. Daniel Day-Lewis is like problems, mental problems, and I love it because holy fuck, that dude will forever be Butcher Bill to me. Like, wouldn't take medicine, wore period piece clothing, ended up getting pneumonia or whatever.
Yeah, and still ended up filming the rest of the movie.
Fucking wild man.
Oh my god. But like Christian Bale does the same shit. Like, he did a movie called Harsh Times that, no, I recommend it. I like it. It's made by the same guy, David Ayer, the guy that did End of Watch.
Okay. Oh, I love End of Watch.
Love that. We started to do cop movies. We fucking talked.
We talked about. All right, let's finish up with American Psycho. You're gonna pitch me pitch the other podcast idea, or not the other idea, but you're gonna talk about your other podcast, and we're gonna finish up. I think we're probably pushing. This has been a long one.
This has been a long one, but yeah.
7. It's because of 7. We fucking love it.
Yeah, Christian Bale, like he this whole movie's got like PTSD for this Harsh Times movie, and all he did was he just watched, because he plays like an ex-soldier. He just somehow got his hands on like a bunch of like
war footage,
and for I think it was like something like 12 hours straight in one sitting. Just watched all this fucked up stuff, and for like 3 months after the filming of this movie, had to go to like real therapy.
I feel like he could use more therapy in his life on a regular basis. Probably coming back to this film. Again, this film. It's not simple. Like, it's elegant in its execution, it's simplistic in its concepts, but it's just so fun and stylish. Like, here we have this portrayal of this super wealthy, like beloved, handsome, incredibly well groomed, well in shape man who's got like a life that it seems like is dream, like is perfect, it's wonderful. He doesn't even do hard work. He shows up at his office and watches Jeopardy and fucking listens to the tape. And I love how much it's demonstrated when Willem Dafoe, who I love as a character in this film.
Yeah, because the cop is also very material also.
Totally, right? Like, and he wants to be friends with Bateman. That's the whole thing. They don't meet for lunch so that he can interrogate him, which is the false flag. They put that out there, and he's like, so where were you? And he's like, well, where was this guy? He was with you on Sunday. And it's this big, like, all this tension, all this awkwardness. Bateman's concerned that this guy's closing the gap on him, and it's not. Like, his interest in
I've never thought of that
news,
before.
His interest in Huey Lewis in the news is completely coincidental, whereas Bateman's panicking because that's a song he's got on in the background when he kills Paul Allen. Like, it's so funny how much, like, you get this idea of Willem Dafoe as this smooth operator type, like the Arbogast, if you will, like, knows exactly what he's after, but he's playing the right game to get answers, and he's calling him out on shit. And then you realize he's just another fucking vapid idiot. And the best part is, like, I honestly think Bateman hates the world all the more when he realizes the detective doesn't even realize what he's done. Because maybe he hasn't done it. I mean, everybody in this movie is a husk and a piece of shit, and they're all very surface, and it's cool. It's cool to watch that. It's Wolf of Wall Street with hypothetical murder. It's like the aftermath of Wolf of Wall Street. It's like what these people become. That'd be neat. People need to watch Wolf of Wall Street and then American Psycho.
I'm going to do that.
That'd be a good setup. It's like
well, I wouldn't watch
12 Years a Slave and then Django.
No, you gotta watch Roots and then 12 Years a Slave and then Django.
Oh God, there goes the black audience.
We don't.
Don't. Just don't. God damn it. You fucking... anyways, you want to talk about some race riots before we get locked
Yeah! Fucking go Orioles.
Let me see the...
you know, the only people that have less of an audience than we do is the Orioles audience yesterday.
Again, this film just does so much right. I love the style.
I've always loved this movie.
I think the best part, again, I'm all about juxtaposition. You know that I love the compare and contrast factors of film. And what I love is everything with this film is rich, glitz and glam, over the top, fanciful. Everything is money, a celebration of money. Over
Disgusting.
The top. Like the liquor they drink, the drugs they do, like the
The book actually focuses more on drugs, if I'm not mistaken.
Undoubtedly. And yet he's doing all these grim and heinous and terrible things.
I'm saying he's not doing them.
I thought you were saying you thought he did do them.
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, again, I'm like, whether or not he's doing them, it's showing them. If the film showcases these heinous acts in the face of all this luxury, all this wealth, all this supposed comfort and joy, And it's the best part. It's talking about how like money doesn't solve your problems and you're still fucked up and everyone's still vapid and empty and our fixation, like this is just a different Fight Club almost. It's just a different point about.
That's a really good point. This movie and Fight Club have a lot of like weird parallels, and I think that I've never thought of that before.
No, it's breaking free of the systemic ideals that everything you have, like you are not your khakis. You know what I mean? You are not we are the all seeing, all dancing shit of the world. Oh, fuck, I love Fight Club. We gotta do Fight Club.
I would.
All right, American Psycho soundtrack.
Oh, also, don't watch the sequel for this movie.
I'm not even gonna address
it. It doesn't even make sense.
But it does confirm that he did all those things.
Right, but it doesn't make sense. Mila Kunis, who at the filming time of this movie was like 22, is supposed to be the son of Patrick Bateman.
Daughter?
Is it daughter? Yeah, that's what I meant. Wow, it's unconfirmed.
Fuck that. Mila Kunis is a smoke show.
No.
You're wrong.
You're wrong. This isn't like the...
This isn't up for debate, dude. Like, she's fucking famous in a lot of movies because people find her hot, okay?
Listen.
Just get to your point.
I'm backtracking. No, she would have been 12 because it's supposed to be some, like, it's the girlfriend, the white, like, the woman that sired this kid.
Yeah.
Would have been the girlfriend whom he didn't kill.
Would it be sired if you're a chick?
Yeah, whatever.
I'm just curious. I'm not mocking you. I was just genuinely curious. I'm sorry. Sorry for asking a question. Go on.
I'm now pulling my dick out angrily.
Yeah. You'll notice I'm not reacting. It's because I can't see it.
Ooh. Well.
This is bad.
I'm angry at you now.
Whatever.
I'm gonna hypothetically murder you. No, it would have been the girlfriend that would have been the mother.
I like that.
Of this kid. But if you do the math on that...
It just doesn't work out.
This movie is set in 2002. The first movie is set in 1989.
Do the math.
She would have been like 13 or whatever.
Yeah, it's bad news bears. But again, we're not talking about...
I would rather watch Roadhouse 2 than watch American Psycho 2.
I don't know that you feel that way.
I would rather watch fucking Roadhouse 1 than watch that movie.
Yeah, anyone would. That's like, I would rather eat ice cream than eat glass. That's not even a statement. Look, American Psycho... it's a fun film.
I love it.
I mean, there's a lot of like pornography in it. That's a big thing too.
The sex scenes are really good in this movie.
They get it. I love how calmly they display how fucked up he is. Like he's hanging out with them. He's like, why don't you strip, then dance, get on the bed, and then it goes from this weird kind of like he's just talking to music to don't just look at it, eat it. And he's talking.
I love the '80s underwear too.
It's the whole thing.
Like they go like up to her nipples.
Well, the timeline is so good. And again, it wasn't. They just got it right because this isn't that old of a film. Like it wasn't
2000.
Yeah, exactly. So they just did all the ridiculous tech, the cassette tapes, the headphones that are totally asinine, like the big box cable television.
Can we talk about the weird gay encounter that he had in this movie?
It's probably one of the funniest parts of this film.
When he just walks up and he's like choking him.
It's the idiot, right?
The guy just turns around and kisses his hand. That's awesome.
Because it's about the business card, right? Like the obsession with materialism, the business cards, and this jabroni, this nobody, this idiot that he has no respect for, presents a card that he's like can't even fathom how wonderful and beautiful it is. And he goes in the bathroom to choke him to death, and he turns around like, oh, I've seen you, Patrick. You're so attractive. I want you too. And Bateman...
He didn't have an English accent, though. I want to point that out.
Whatever.
I don't know why you did that. That was fucking creepy.
Because he's got a weird accent.
He does. It's true. But that's the greatest escape from almost dying I think I've ever seen.
Well, the unique thing about it, as I look back and I examine it, I almost wonder if Bateman spares him. I mean, I'm confident it's mostly due to disgust from the idea that this guy would want to that Bateman thinks that this guy thinks that Bateman would even sleep with him. But I almost think it's also ego. Because he's like, I see what an incredible human you are. And
it's what he said to him that saved his life.
Yeah.
There's another thought, too, like in all the stuff like that came from American Psycho. There's another thought that the reason that Bateman let him live and the reason that Bateman is so angry at women in general is that he is actually gay.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be surprising. I mean, you examine the subtleties, right? Like, he's obviously obsessed with the men around him. He's got unhealthy fixation on Paul Allen, which is why he has to kill him and become him. And there's like that, the subtext of killing someone and becoming them is...
Who would, if you could kill and become one person, who would it be?
Are you really going to record this? Like,
yep.
If that person goes missing tomorrow, then I don't know, man. The truth of the matter is, I don't feel qualified to answer this question.
Robert Downey Jr.
That's compelling. That's pretty good. I mean, he's married though. Like, you want to go with like a heartthrob, single dude? No.
No, that dude gets away with whatever the fuck he wants.
Frankly, honestly, if I was gonna probably like Bill Gates. Because it's just money.
Well, it's because you got the serial killer glasses.
Yeah,
and the
but
shitty.
I mean, like that's my answer. My answer is whoever's got the most amount of money, like a fucking Dubai royalty, so I can fucking have human furniture.
Could you imagine me just being Dubai royalty?
Yeah, I can. I mean, you have to learn to speak the language. Other than that, you're like a misogynistic asshole who doesn't treat women very nicely, and you're a bad person. So yeah.
Okay, I became your stepdad for a reason. I treat your mom like gold.
You don't treat my mom. Where's my allowance, you motherfucker? That's all I have to say. No, that's cool. I've seen the way you treat. You don't treat women nicely because they don't want to be treated nicely. Not all women. Just the women you associate.
This is going off the rails. Absolutely.
It's alright. It's American Psycho, right? At some point or another, it was eventually going to allude to you implying that I rape and
I want
kill
to state that my co-host is high on drugs, and he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's in a fugue state.
I don't remember how I got here. If you announce if I'm in a fugue state and you announce that I'm in a fugue state, do I have that? It's like when you're sitting in your own feces when you realize you're insane, right? Oh, I'm really fucking crazy.
Mike is actually hosting the podcast by himself.
This is all. There's no podcast. This is all. You're in a rubber room. And
I am. I'm the crazy one.
There's no way I would. Come on, man. If this was my reality, there'd be way more cool shit going on. This is so dull. There's gonna be so much of this podcast that doesn't make it in.
Oh no, I'm leaving it all in there.
Hopefully, like the meta review of the podcast stays in, and people will be like, I don't know, that sounded pretty normal. And then there's so much cutting room floor shit that didn't make it in. But do you have anything else to say about American Psycho?
No, I love this movie. I love all three movies that we did today. Watch them all again, please.
Well, yeah. I mean, again, Psycho's a masterpiece.
It should be on your list.
Film icon. Seven is a film achievement.
Modern film. I don't use this term very often. I have seen, I think you know this by now, I've seen a fuckload of movies. I have seen a lot of movies.
Probably too many for most humans, frankly.
This is a fucking masterpiece.
Yeah, I can certainly concede to that. I mean, not that I'm disagreeing at any point, but like I agree. I think Seven doesn't. There's nothing in reviewing Seven. There's nothing I find wrong with it except for like I don't know why Brad Pitt gets his ass kicked, but that's not.
Oh, that's because of him falling through the window. Originally, that scene didn't happen.
Well, for sure, and like regardless. I just mean like that was the only point where I was like, I mean, I feel like if you played that smarter, he wouldn't have been able to get away from you. But everything else in the film I love. Like I love. Again, all three of these films are great. This is the first time I think we've done. No, we like most of the films we review.
Yeah, I fucking love Time Cop.
American Psycho. I don't know, man. Like I feel like the reason the review feels shorter to me for American Psycho is I don't feel like American Psycho. I feel like it challenged things in the time it came out. I think it does some fucked up.
Oh,
shit.
it was like banned in like so many cities.
But for fucked up people like you and me, it's just a fun ride. And if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably a little bit fucked up too. So you could probably go back to American Psycho and watch it with your girlfriend and or your boyfriend or your homeless man.
I don't know what you prefer.
To
if you use weird pronouns and you're pansexual, like whatever you're dating.
Yeah, man, whatever you're putting your genitals on, in, or against. There you go. American Psycho, great film. All three are great films. Thank you for tuning in.
I give it 3 Huey Lewis albums out of 4.
I give it. I don't know. I'm just thinking funny. Like I give it like 2.
I'm giving it 3 hypothetical ratings out of 5.
I'll give it. You know what? I'll go 4 severed heads out of 5 because the 5th one's missing, or maybe it didn't exist. I don't know. It's a theoretical decapitation.
So that closes out the actual reviews of the movies. I personally, I hate to like bug you guys. You guys can definitely feel free to.
Oh, fuck it, man. They're here now. We've given you fucking 9 episodes. You're
Yeah.
all at least listening to us talk.
Can we just pour some out for the amount of time we've put into this and actually?
No, our time is worth nothing.
Yeah, I want to take a couple seconds. I got some projects coming up that I would love for anybody that listens to us to come see. I feel like it'd be cool. I'm doing Niagara's Top Comic. My first day that I go up, potentially my first of 3, I believe, is May 13th.
And I promise you, for whatever it's worth, he's much funnier stand-up than he is on the podcast. So definitely check it out.
Listen, I made 2 kidnapping jokes in 5.
I'll stop talking.
May 13th at Celtic Club on Secord. It's all vote-based, so I would really appreciate if even a couple of you showed up.
You don't have to listen to a set, just vote for him. That's
you can fucking heckle me if you want. Like, I guarantee you it wouldn't go the way you want it to, but come out, support Fart House. Or, you know what, actually, if you encourage me to do stand-up, I'll have less time for the podcast.
Support local events in the St. Catharines area if you're listening to this. Come on out, check out a comedy show. It'll be good stuff. Come out, maybe you can see.
You can meet me and Mike. I think he's going to be there.
I'm going to come through because I want you to bomb.
Okay.
I want to see you bomb at least. I want you to do well, but I also
I get it because I want the same for you
Yeah.
and everything
Oh,
that
God.
you do. But yeah, and then I'm also starting a second podcast. Also, this is separate from mine and Mike's thing. This has nothing to do with Fart House at all. But I'll be doing a podcast on Niagara's music scene. So if you want to get involved in that, if you want to be interviewed, if you want to talk about it, if you want to talk about experiences that you've had, this is also going to include comedians as well. Just Niagara arts in general, performing arts.
I won't. I don't know that I'll be on this podcast, but I can guarantee you it'll at least be half good. And the joke there is that there's 2 of us on this cast, and only one of us will be on that cast. In case you didn't catch that.
I'm also going to propose a hypothetical list for you that I want to do. I want to do legal movies, so that way you have an excuse to say docket.
I will specifically refrain from using docket in the legal.
The docket.
The docket. On the docket. Anyways, all right. Do you have like a URL? Do you want to pitch anything like that?
I don't have one yet.
We'll put it up on the website. You guys
Yeah.
can check it out there. Like, subscribe, favorite, tweet, retweet.
Send us your boobs.
Send us nudes. Yeah, we're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're not tweeting much yet because technology eludes us. Not really. We're just lazy.
Create fake Facebook accounts. Send out our
Tell us how shitty we are.
Please, I want to be heckled personally.
I don't. I really, really don't.
You handle it poorly. You had enough of it your whole life.
Hurting people seems tempting when they upset me. Anyways, Patrick Bateman, out. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
This is General Hummel from Alcatraz.